Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. I'm Deanne Castro, Creative Memories Advisor in Bakersfield, California. And thank you so much for joining me today. I am so excited to introduce to you the new National Scrapbook Day papers and punch for this year, for 2025. Advisors were able to order the items a little bit early so that we could play with everything and then show it to you guys. So these items will be available for purchase on the websites starting a week from today on the 24th. But I just wanted to show you one idea, and I have a new idea for next Monday for when the products come out. But this one I'm so excited to show you today. So let's switch over and there you go. I'm so excited. This is so much fun. This was made with the new Flower Pots border punch. Now, this is not a frame punch, so it was a little tricky to get this made into a frame, and it was a lot of trial and error trying to get the the punch to be kind of equal so it would fit on the page right. Okay, so I will tell you these various measurements when we get there. But this is the punch. This is the Flower Pots border punch. And we are going to be measuring certain areas on this punch to get this effect and to get it centered on here right. Okay, so this is the new National Scrapbook Days accessory paper pack. This is a 6-piece paper pack that coordinates perfectly with the project recipe pack. So I used this mostly, but then I kind of mixed and matched. And this, and as you can see, I've used a lot of it. This is the project recipe paper. It is also 6 pieces of paper and 2 pieces of cardstock, and they all coordinate together. I also used hot fudge cardstock, and I am grateful to Vellum paper pack. This is still available on the website. Get a hold of your advisor and make sure she orders it for you if you want to use this vellum to go with it, because this is the paper, but this is the vellum on top of that paper. And I just thought it added so much more to it with just a piece of vellum. So the color still kind of shows through, but it kind of goes along with the whole theme. So that's the I am grateful to vellum pack. So I went from this that uses several photos. You can get a 6x4, a second 6x4. You can get a couple of smaller photos. These are 2x2s, and then you have some room for journaling on your page. Then you can add some more embellishments if you like around the edges. I didn't add any more because I wasn't real sure what my photos were going to be, but I will add some more embellishments or stickers once I get that going. But just wanted to show you the vellum underneath it because I just think it is so cool. So I went from this to this. This is more of a border along the page. And so I'm going to show you how to make this, okay? Let's see, move this out of the way. But I need to, my dog is coughing behind me. I need to get the paper out. I'm going to use this one again. Okay, so that goes with this. And I'm going to use hot fudge cardstock to go underneath this to make it stand out on the page. Then I have a piece left of that vellum out of the paper pack that I'm going to add behind here. You can't see it as much when I've got the embellishments on top of it, But doesn't that look cool? I just love that. And there were actually a few different pieces of vellum in that pack that would have worked really well for this. Okay, let's put this out of the way. And I'm going to start with this one. So now the measurements for this, for the top piece, is this. Okay. You need a piece of designer paper, or this piece, cut at 4.5 by 11 5/8. You need to cut 3/8 off the end of one side. Then you're going to punch the paper, and I put at left of first leaf in the pot. So you have to look at the punch, and I'm doing this off the right-hand side. So let me see if I hold this up better. Okay, so you see these various leaves here on this pot. Depending on where I put the paste paper to start punching is depending on the sizes of that. So for this is the first leaf, this little tiny leaf right here on that. We're just going to put the paper just a little bit to the left of this first leaf, just a fraction, just a hair to the left of it. And I'll show you that again in just a minute. So I'm going to punch or cut the paper. And this is going to be 4.5. Okay, so 4.5 inches. And then you're going to cut 3/8 of an inch off. Now it made it pretty easy. This to the end of the gray mat here is 1/4 of an inch. This full line over here on the right, this full line right here is 1/2 inch. So here's 1/4 of an inch, and here's 1/2 inch. Kind of right in the middle of that is this line on the plastic. It just goes right down here. And that's what I'm going to trim this paper at. You could do it off the other side as well. But here's the 1/2 inch here. And so here's, let's see, that is 1/8. So you could also put it right here where this first line is on this side. But it's easier for me to line it up against that mark right there. So it's just a little bit past the end of the gray mat right here. Okay, so it's going to line up right there to trim this off. You don't want a whole lot. You just want enough to where you'll be able to have the hot fudge show behind it here. Okay? So I'm going to trim that right there. And I'm going to toss that piece. Okay, so now on this punch, those of you that haven't seen these punches, these are just straight border punches. Creative Memories does have a few punches that are frame punches and are made to cut in these types of frames. This one is not, it's a straight punch. So with a little bit of playing around, you can get this to be a frame punch as well. Make sure that you use scrap paper first when you're doing this, but I did get the measurements down for this punch. So I'm going to put this in, and I'm going to line it up just a fraction to the left of that first little leaf right there. So you can barely see that leaf, but I'm just going to line it up just a fraction over. Okay. And then I'm going to punch it because you want to get this centered. So now I'm going to move the paper over. See this extra piece on the end? This is going to be cut off when we go all the way around. But then I'm going to line the paper up with the blue sample and cover up all of the blue, and then push the left back all the way to the end, all the way to the back. Okay, so I'm going to cover up all of the blue here, and then I'm going to punch it again. And I'm going to do that all the way across. Well, not all the way. I'm only punching this 4 times. Okay, there's the second punch. The third punch, and stop at 4. Okay, you can see that there's still paper hanging out the side over here. So I'm not going to punch it all the way across. And it's not exactly straight across, but this is what you want to get as close as possible. Okay, turn it around and line up this corner at the same spot that you did before. It should make this pretty centered on this punch. Okay, do the same thing here. Line it up. So you're just turning it around and doing all 4 sides. And go punch across. So you only punched once on that corner. And it all starts coming kind of loose on you. So make sure that it doesn't get stuck underneath this punch. This one didn't, as far as I can tell, tend to get stuck for this particular piece. But then turn it this way and punch the edge just once. I'm going to center it on there. Okay, so the middle piece comes out and you're done with that. You don't need that one right now. But you end up with this piece that got punched off and these pieces that you can just trim off. Okay, but then they stay together. I'm just trimming this off. My scissors don't want to work very well. Okay, so I have that top piece. Move this out of the way. And we're going to do the bottom piece. So here's my hot fudge piece. And I'm going to cut this at 4 3/4. Okay, so we did the top piece at 4 1/2. We're doing the cardstock at 4 3/4 by 12. Okay, so we're not trimming anything off this piece. This is going to stay the full 12 inches. We're going to do the same thing with this one. And we're going to line this up right at the same spot as we did the last one. Okay, punch it, move it over, cover up all of the blue. Punch it only 4 times. We don't want to punch it all the way across. Okay, pull it out, slide it in, line it up at the same spot, just to the left of that little tiny leaf on the end. Punch once. Okay, do the same thing, line it up. punch and punch 4 times. Do not punch it all the way down. Okay, pull it out, punch the end once. Kind of center it on there. And we've got the middle piece that we can use for something else later on. And I'm going to cut these little squares off. And we're going to move the punch out of the way. And now we can line it up. Okay. So these are going to go on here like this. And because you punched a little bit off the paper, we will line these up about right here. Just to give this a little bit of a background to be able to see the colors on the top piece. Okay, I got this side off just a little bit, but it's okay. It'll still work. All right. So I'm going to put the adhesive on the back. I'm putting adhesive on the leaves of the smaller plant so that they stay down better. They can tend to pop up a little bit as you're kind of smoothing it on there. This will help them stay down. The other thing you can do if you want is you can use foam squares and just pop this up off there just a little bit. Actually thought of that a little late, or I would have done this right now, but that's okay. You get the general idea. Okay, I'm going to lay this on here. It does give it a pretty large reveal, which is okay, because it just makes sure that it stands out a lot better. Just give it some background, just give it some shadow. I'll move this over a little bit. There we go. Okay, isn't that cool? So we made a frame punch out of not a non-frame punch. Okay, so if you wanted to put that on your page, that would just be perfect. You could just lay it on there and line it up against the end of your paper, add some embellishments, or add some journaling down the middle. This is the perfect place for a journaling box. But I liked it adding just a little bit of the vellum behind it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to use this last piece of vellum. I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to check it out to see how big it should go without showing up on the other side over here. So I'm going to mark that. Let's see, where's the pencil? Not that it's going to show, but it will go down to about here. I don't have it straight. Let me straighten it out a little bit. Okay, so about right here. 2, about right here. Okay, you can't really see those pencil marks very well. Just a little mark right there and a little mark right here. But that tells me where to cut this. I could have measured it, but I'm being kind of lazy. So I'm just going to trim this. About here. And I won't use the rest of that because it's just a little small. Oh, and I just lost my mark. So let me find out where I need to trim this one. Right about there. Okay. Now I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on the back here. Because it's vellum, if you were just putting it on the page, you would want to use the vellum tape runner because the vellum then would not show if you're putting it on a page or behind a photo. But because I'm using it as a backing on this, I can use the regular adhesive and just use a small amount on the very edge right here. Here's all the way on the bottom. I'm just using 1 or 2 little pieces of this regular tape runner adhesive. Okay, that's a little much, so I'm going to fold it around. Okay, so I'm just using a little bit of adhesive, just one little tiny piece of tape all the way down to hold this vellum piece in place. Now, if you can notice, one side that shows through doesn't have much of a line. The other side, it's a little more prominent. So I want the lines to show up better. So I'm going to put this face down on here. I'm going to line it up. Move it up just a tiny bit. Add it on there. And then see how it adds just some dimension to it. I just think that is so cool. So this is another way to use the vellum papers, is just add it behind some of your embellishments. Then you can go ahead and add embellishments on it if you'd like, or just use it as a journaling box. So let's see, I could put this here. Friendship grows here. Aren't these cool? I love the new National Scrapbook Days theme. This is just the funnest thing for me. So there you go. Border is done. And you made a frame out of a non-frame punch. I just think this is the funnest idea. So I'm going to move this out of the way for a second. And I want to show you where you can put photos. You can add a little bit larger photos by making this border. And you can even overlap it if you want. You don't have to show the entire border. Some people do, but sometimes I like to have more photos on the page. So here it is without overlapping the border. You can get 2 6x4 photos on here and 2 3.5 by 3.5 photos where the other one had 2 2x2 inch photos. So you can get larger photos on here. Then you can also add, if you want to move this over, you can add some journaling. Just handwrite some journaling in here that go with your photos, or take one of these and make it into a journaling box. So it's really up to you. But if you want, you can cover some of this and add more room for a few smaller photos or journaling boxes on this side. So it still shows the embellishment or the border that you put on here, but you don't have to leave it completely open if you don't want to. Okay, so you can move it over. But there we are. Thank you so much for joining me. If you don't have an advisor, you can go onto my website. Um, Starting today, there's also a new promo. So check out my website or go to your advisor's website, see what's happening in about 8 minutes. You'll be able to see some new products for this week. And then next week will be the National Scrapbook Day products coming out. So if you'd like, you can join my Facebook group. I try to put the new products that's coming up on that Facebook group, any new ideas that I see from like the virtual crops that just happened this weekend. So request to join and I'll let you in and we can go from there. But thank you all so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did today. And I will talk to you again with a new National Scrapbook Day border idea, just a regular border this time next week. Thank you. We'll talk to you later. Bye.